I sometimes hear people asking, why was a person chosen to be the Pope or an abbot or religious or even a parish priest? People tend to wonder, how come this person is chosen instead of some other person? They begin to question whether the person's ability matches the needs of the parish or the place where the person is assigned to. But the reality is that God's ways and choices are not our ways and choices. God looks at things quite differently from the way we look at things. And sometimes He notices certain things about us and about others, which we tend to miss out, overlook, or ignore. This is why in the second reading today, St. Paul reminds us how rich are the depths of God, how deep His wisdom and knowledge, and how impossible to penetrate His motives or understand His methods. Who could ever know the mind of the Lord? When a certain person is chosen, they sometimes have their names changed to another name, often the name of a saint. They put on a new identity and perhaps pray that they will be able to live up to their new name and identity. We see an example of this in the Gospel today, where Simon was given the name Peter, which means rock. Throughout the Gospel, we see Peter falling and rising up, falling and rising up. But the reality is that Peter continued to rise and fall. And we wonder whether Jesus could have made a mistake. But the reality is that Jesus did not make any mistake. He knows Peter. He can see potential in Peter and also the potential in other apostles. What appear to be weaknesses and limitations could be transformed by God to serve His purposes. When we are chosen and given a new identity, it is not us who choose, but it is God who chooses us. God chooses us even though we may be weak and limited. God chooses the weak to shame the strong, the foolish to shame the wise, the sinner to shame the righteous. God's choice may not necessarily be understood and appreciated, but we can take comfort from the fact that God knows who He is choosing. The question we need to ask ourselves is, do we depend on God's ways and not our ways? Are we able to submit to His thoughts and not our thoughts? After all, He knows what is best for us. Are we willing to let go of our preconceived notions and let God take control?